Hi guys, Luke.Ink here. So today I want to talk about the 5 essential qualities that I feel make an ink drawing great. As a professional artist and illustrator working in the medium of ink, I try to bring these 5 things into each drawing as much as possible to really make that drawing stand out. So let's get to that list. So the first quality that I try to bring out in my work is clarity. This is especially important as an illustrator, as the final audience of the work is going to see it in a much reduced size more often than not. So what I mean by clarity is that as I step back from the work and the image essentially gets smaller, I should still be able to clearly see what it is that I'm looking at. So I've selected 2 examples here of my fairly recent work. The one on the left is a fairly complex composition, and the one on the right is very simple. And they both stay fairly clear as the camera pulls back. And so that is what I mean by clarity. That is the number one essential thing, is you want the audience to see what it is that they're looking at. So the second quality that I try to bring out in my work is communication. And what I mean by communication is I try to make sure that the drawing communicates something clearly, whether that be an action, which is especially important in an illustrative work, or it evokes an emotion, or it tells a message. And this is the perfect drawing to illustrate that point, because I'm not only communicating the action taking place with the jousting knights, but I am also communicating a message below in script. So that is the second point, communication. And these points are in order of importance to me. This is my own personal list and my own personal order of importance. So you might have a slightly different list and a different order of importance for these points. Number 3 on my list is composition. So the overall composition of a drawing is very important. And the importance of clarity and communication and composition it's very close. And it was hard to sort of rank them. Composition is extremely important in black ink work because you don't have color to incorporate into the composition to assist. So you're using a combination of different techniques to lead the eye, guide the viewer's eye around the work. And those various markings and lines should be harmonious and all work together to create a visually appealing and not cluttered image. So I should mention at this point that each of these points, like clarity and communication, composition, I will dive a little more into detail on each of them in videos on my Patreon, which you can find a link to in the description box below this video. So there you have number 3, composition, very important. And on to the next point. The fourth point that I try to bring into my work is what I call creative. That is a creative use of lines and markings in such a way that it creates a visually interesting pattern of textures. So in this piece, you can see ice, snow, trees, rock, fur, all represented in different ways using different patterns of lines and markings. And same thing in this one, similar but slightly different uses of markings to create the same tones, the same textures. So that is what I mean by creative, is making something that's more technically appealing and visually interesting to the eye. And that is partly for the audience and partly for myself as the creator, which is why I ranked it below the other 3. And that leads me to the 5th and final point. The fifth point that I try to touch on in my work, and I feel really brings out the best in it, is challenge. And what I mean by challenge is not only do I try to push myself and my skills and learn and grow as an artist, but I also like to have fun. And challenge is sort of synonymous with fun when it comes to art, especially when you have more of a grasp of a medium. You tend to want to push that medium a little bit and push yourself. So that challenge is as much fun as it is work. And I think that's very important to me. Now, it doesn't really matter to the audience. The audience is not really, hopefully, they're not going to see whether a piece was challenging or not for me. But it's very important to me. It could be trying out a different medium like this ink and watercolor wash, or it could be choosing a subject matter that I don't normally illustrate, such as this illustration for a classic fairy tale. And it could be using tools and materials that you normally don't use. So it can come out in many different ways. But I do rank that as number 5, not as important as the other 4, but still very important to me as an artist. So again, these 5 points are ranked in order of importance, and I would never sacrifice one higher on the list for one lower on the list. So again, clarity is number 1. I should be able to tell what it is. Second, communication. It should tell a story, give a message, or evoke an emotion or a feeling. Third, it should be well composed. It should look good. Number 4, it should be visually, technically interesting. And number 5, which really isn't last on the list, it's more separate from the other 4 because it's just for the artist, just for me, is challenging. It should be challenging. It should push me a little bit in my skills, materials, content, and be fun. So there you have it, my 5 qualities that I try to bring into my work to make it as good as I can. Maybe you have your own list. If so, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to see it. And I hope you found value in this video. Maybe you can bring some of these concepts or ideas into your own work. But I hope it helps you in some way and that you enjoyed it. And again, if you'd like to see more detailed work like this or exclusive artwork, you can follow that link in the description box below to my Patreon and support me over there. So I hope to see you over there. But thanks for sticking around to the end of the video and watching. I really appreciate it. And you guys have a good day. Happy drawing.